Hey everybody, just wanted to do a quick little video showing my progress so far on the mill rebuild. Basically just I used to have this little mill sitting on top of this workbench. It's CNC, and I had it just sitting out in the open, and of course every time you run a part it slings chips and shit everywhere, and just makes a giant mess. And that got old pretty fast. So I also wanted to run some flood coolant while I'm machining certain parts. So ended up making this giant enclosure thing. Essentially just a big box. It's a 1-inch square tubing frame with some aluminum sheeting for the side panels and such. The bottom pan is actually 3/16 steel, which is pretty stout, bigger than what I needed, but I had it, and it also allowed me to build off of that as far as the rest of the frame and all goes. It's pretty thin stuff. I try to keep it as light as possible. I think it's like 16 gauge 1-inch tubing. Basically all it has to do is hold up the aluminum panel, which is, I don't know, I think 40 thousandths thick. It's not much to it either. And just hold the walls up, essentially, is all it's doing. Keeping the water and coolant and chips and everything inside of it. Still need to make the doors. I'm going to have 2 doors that kind of, slide from the one half from left to right. You kind of split down the middle, down the center, essentially. But anyway, also, while I had the mill apart, I decided to go ahead and upgrade the CNC system that I had. I kind of made some pretty hacked up brackets and stuff my own many years ago when I first converted this thing. And while it worked, I did have some issues. I had to dial out a lot of backlash with the backlash compensation in Mach 3, just because I had some bracket issues underneath the tables here on the X and Y, mainly on the X. But anyway, I decided to spring for the Arizona Dave hand-packed ball screws and the mounts that he does, which are a really nice product. He was really easy to deal with, via email and eBay and whatnot. But product turned out really nice. This is actually the kit is actually for a Grizzly G0704. Sorry. And this machine is actually, I got it while I lived in Germany. It's a Optimum Bf20L, so it's a little different than the Grizzly. Not a whole lot, nothing that I couldn't work out myself. But anyway, I knew that getting into it. I knew it wouldn't be an exact direct bolt in, but it's anyway, it's in. It's good to go. It's nice and tight. Everything's smooth. I got everything lined up really well as far as the movement of all the axes. I got some new motors. I used to have some, I don't know what they were. I think they were 375-inch motors, I think, before. Now these are a little over 500 ounces. So these ought to have a little more power for movement. Still got the old NEMA 34 up top on the Z. Never had any problem out of it, so I just left it alone. But I have to mount the other motor on the X. But once I get the motors wired up and get the head back on the mill and get everything wired up and neat and nice, plumbed up, I'll be pretty much ready to go make some chips. I'll show you in here. Got some big ass LED. They're huge bulbs, just flood bulbs is all it is. Actually works really well. Got one on each corner, just kind of pointing down to the machine itself. See if I can turn it on here. I don't know how well this light's going to pick up in the I'm just doing this with my cell phone, so bear with me. Anyway, plenty of damn light in there. Each bulb puts out 1200 lumens apparently, which is a fair amount, probably more than I'll need. So anyway, I didn't want it to be dark in there. And that's just a switch I got on the panel here. So I mounted my keyboard and monitor on this retractable arm here. It swivels and pivots and does all kinds of crazy shit, but I found that at I forget where I found it, but anyway, I figured I'd keep it, and I've had it for a while and decided to finally use it. And it actually turns out pretty nice. It's at a good height for doing stuff while at the machine, and if I want to, I can lower it if I get really lazy and sit down in a chair. But anyway, that's mounted on the front of the base here, or front of the enclosure, I mean. Just walk around over here. The other end of the enclosure holds the electronics, and I ended up using a much bigger enclosure on this machine because the enclosure that I had it on before had all this electronic shit like literally packed into an electronic housing half this size, and it was just a nightmare if you had to do any kind of troubleshooting or repairs. And let's be honest, all this shit in here, you're going to have some repairs at some point. You know, if a driver went out, it was just an act of Congress to change it out. So this is much, much more room in here. Yeah, it's bigger, it's heavier, but who cares? It made my life a lot easier. Just wiring it up was a much easier process. So, and I'm still not 100% done with it, but it's pretty close. See all my drivers up there. Got a 4th axis for it. I have all that stuff installed and ready to go. All of the wiring for the motors will come out somewhere up here and hook to all of these respective speak-on connectors, X, Z, Y. And this is for the motor and the head and whatever else I decide to put in there. Who knows? I might come up with an automatic tool changer at some point. That's pretty ambitious, but anyway, let me just go around to the other side here. You can also see possibly underneath there where I've got that 1.25-inch hole or nipple hanging down there underneath the enclosure. That's obviously for the coolant system, which I've yet to come up with. Sorry, I'm moving around a lot here, but anyway, you can see there's plenty of room, you know, back behind, basically behind this shelf, underneath the table, to put a small tank and pump and associated hoses and everything. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I keep most of my tooling and stuff for this. That's just drill bits, but I keep all of my tooling and everything just kind of stays in the drawers. It makes it a lot easier to find stuff.